Hello and welcome to a book club for games. We are four lifelong friends who love to play games and we just wanted a new way to game together, so we decided to start a book club but for games. Every month, we will choose one new game to play and at the end of that month, we invite you all to join us in discussing that game. Everything will be up for discussion, from gameplay to sound design, business practices, or really anything else we can think about. So without further ado, I'm Mitchell.
Kevin,
Terry.
Yeah.
let's go.
A clean start.
Two
But
for two.
this month's game is Gladiator Guild Manager, chosen by me. So why Gladiator Guild Manager? I ask myself. I just kind of like auto battlers, honestly. I've always liked. I don't know what it is really, but being able to sit back and watch your guys do their thing without feeling the stress of your own control is sometimes nice. You just gotta set it up and forget it. This also just seemed like a cute little fun game. Making a guild of gladiators and seemed to have some cool progression along with that auto battling system. So it was just something that came up in my recommendations one day, and I decided that it'd be a good fit for this.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mitchell
can we talk about
making minion dance.
Can we talk about a quick tangent because you reminded me of the OG auto battler Blood Brothers.
Blood Brothers. All
The
right.
phone game. Oh man.
If
I
any
love
of
that
y'all
game.
have played Blood Brothers, put it in the comments. God, I love Blood Brothers. It had a player-owned marketplace too.
Oh yeah, they don't do that much anymore. Yeah,
They don't really.
The bugles. You sell
Yeah.
the bugles, and then you
Jala
get like,
horns.
then you can make either the perfect,
Yeah.
perfect character, or you could do like the ratchet
97.
version. Yeah,
97%.
like 97%. Yeah, I remember that. That game was pretty lit.
That game was super.
And the events where you battled, yeah, and tried to get the event characters and stuff like that. Did you guys play it? I don't think you could.
No, that was just you two.
Yeah.
I remember you two playing it.
It's an amazing game. And
Wait,
then they
there
made
was a sequel.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sucked.
it sucked. It lost what made the original great.
But yeah, maybe that's where my love of auto. No, I think it was probably even before that. But sometimes it's fun to just sit back and relax. But Gladiator Guild Manager, pretty good game. Pretty short game, I think. I
Yeah.
probably played the most. How much did everyone play?
One playthrough, so 6-ish hours, all of which is on the channel.
Same.
Jeff.
Sorry, I gotta check because I actually don't know.
Yeah.
So I think I saw from based on the achievements, I think Jeff did a second playthrough recently.
It says I did 10. Yeah, I did. I kind of did like one because I want to go for a different sort of perspective.
Yeah.
I changed.
Right. Yeah. I also did 2 playthroughs, and I guess I did one playthrough on hard with no permadeath, and then I did a second playthrough with randomized starting gladiators, permadeath, and nightmare, which I saw in a Steam review was what they said was the best difficulty to do it on. So, what you guys played on hardest?
I played hardest permadeath, and I did one playthrough. The game was pretty easy, I would say, even on that stuff. Not to be a gamer, but
Okay, Mr.
but
Braggart.
but I'm sure you guys would agree. Like, it wasn't the beginning is a little bit rocky at times, but they had some mechanics in there that helped you out, and overall the game wasn't too difficult.
Yeah, it wasn't terribly
it's
difficult.
one of those. It's one of those that I feel like it's kind of hard to really balance the difficulty curve around.
And what did you play on, Terry?
Second from hardest.
Okay, I think it's nightmare.
Isn't that the hardest? I thought Nightmare was the hardest.
No, that's hell.
Oh,
I
hell.
think.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, hell. Yeah. Good
Well,
times.
I guess since we're talking about it, we can talk about the difficulty curve and how difficult it was. Oh yeah.
I played Nightmare Permadeath first. and then on the second one I did Nightmare, no Permadeath to see the
Yeah.
difference
That makes sense.
and whether I liked it more. And I agree with Kevin's assessment that the game is hard to balance. Probably, it is pretty easy, especially. Well, this is just a tangent for later, but especially because I feel that some of the best units you get.
Mhm.
Can't imagine what's like with permadeath with some of the enemy comps that are just intended to
Yes.
murk
Yeah.
at least one unit.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have things to say about
Yeah.
that later.
Yeah. You kind of learn to pick around it as
Yeah.
you see it, though, and also like, I noticed of watching you when you're playing permadeath, you're always ready to throw in that towel. You're like, oh shit, okay, we're backing out. We're not getting wiped.
I made
Yeah.
liberal use of the surrender,
Yeah.
tactical surrender.
You see your back guy like get really low, and it's like you feel like actually one of my favorite parts about the game is like you feel like with permadeath, you feel like you're the coach in a boxing match, where you're ready to make sure your guy doesn't die, and that's basically
I should have done that, but I didn't do that.
savage, bro. You didn't give a shit.
I did give a shit. But,
Clearly not.
Yeah, I think overall though.
Honestly- Oh yeah. Oh, I just want to say real quick though. Honestly, the surrender, highest micro aspect of the game.
Oh
highest skill cap.
yeah.
When it comes down to the wire and the tank is like a 1 HP, you gotta hit that button as soon
Yeah.
as possible because you know you're gonna wipe.
I know it's like such a dumb thing, but like as a mechanic, it also makes you very attentive. Like you're paying mad attention because you're like always on the wire, ready to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I'm
wonder
sorry.
if that was
Retro.
no, but I wonder if that was by design. Like, it seems
Yeah,
kind
I
of
don't know.
like a cheap out almost to be able to
Mhm.
surrender and save your dude, but maybe it kind of lessens the impact of permadeath. But
Weren't you guys saying that
Yeah.
it seemed like permadeath wasn't even? It didn't feel like the game was necessarily. There were like some systems in the game that weren't designed
Yeah.
for permadeath.
It was not. It was
Yeah.
not designed for permadeath.
It's definitely added on.
yeah, well, because like there's a whole resource that you don't use. There's a bunch of perks that are
Or
useless.
pointless.
And some that are very good.
Yeah.
Like one of them is like, if you never die, you are strong.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's a good one.
I love that one. Yeah. I think, yeah. Overall, though, it wasn't super hard. I think one thing I found is actually I think permadeath was easier.
Mm.
I also
'Cause you
played
get
on my
more
second playthrough, so I knew how to do it. But I stalled myself multiple times. I think I saw Terry do it too, actually. But when you're not on permadeath, you don't really give a fuck. So you just send your guys in, and then sometimes you'll get your whole team wiped because you bit off more than you can chew, and you don't really care. And then your dudes are dead for like half the month, and so it slows you down a lot. So for me, I actually had a harder time progressing because I would be more likely to choose a harder fight, and I also was less. I played wider instead of taller.
Yeah.
In my permadeath run, right? You don't want to really risk the chance of losing, so you just put in your A team every time.
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones, I'd be like, oh, I want to try this guy. I want to try this guy. I want to try this guy, and then I had like 10 level 5s and not a single level like 9,
Mm-hmm.
which
I can see
doesn't
that.
scale super well.
I think that the permadeath stuff, like, it definitely makes it so like it's not about quality. It's about it's about quality. It's not about quantity. So your team is definitely pretty small, and then like,
Yeah.
but I do think when your team gets wiped in permadeath, it hurts.
Oh yeah.
Because
I
you
don't think I
lose
ever
all
got
your
a-
items, you
Oh,
lose all
the
your stuff.
items.
Like when someone dies, you lose their items, which is
Yeah.
really rough.
That one
And
hurts.
then you just, I think the reason why the game is pretty easy at a certain part too is because the resources, when you trade it into the bank, because you just stop using them for things,
Yeah.
you just get so much money. A thing I noticed with the permadeath was at the beginning, they give you a lot of characters that like they cost 0, but they like just charge extra at the end. And I would just literally use those guys as meat shields and they would just die.
I think you got lucky. I don't think that's actually like coded.
No, it's like a,
Yeah, it's a perk, but I don't-
Negotiator.
a
Negotiator says
negotiator,
free
yeah.
cost, but 3 times salary. I still remember. I
Yeah,
did
but
something.
yeah.
I don't think it's like they give you more at the beginning. I don't think that's put in.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think-
yeah.
I
I
feel
just
like
got
I
this
actually
going.
had a lot of them at the beginning
Yeah,
too, but
I
yeah,
feel
it
like
could be
too.
art.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Did you guys pick up? Well, did you guys pick up any slaves? Any of the people with the slave
Oh, yeah.
perks?
I-
Where it's like it's the opposite. They have a
Yeah.
higher upfront cost, but they don't
Yeah.
have any wage.
yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but at the end game of my first run, 4 people came across like 4 months who were slave negotiators. So they cost 0 and their wages were 0, and I was
What?
like, bro,
I
you
never got
negotiate
that.
yourself into a good deal for me.
Negotiate yourself into slavery. All
I think-
right.
I did
I
not
think you,
get that.
I think you glitched the game. I don't think that's supposed to happen.
I
Yeah, I
got
never
I got
got that.
4 of them. I can still remember them. It was a priest.
No,
I
that-
already had 2 priests, so I had a 3rd priest.
That sounds like something that could happen because the game isn't. You could tell it's early access. Like I have a clip I can send your way to put in the thing, but basically one of the quests, the choose your reward section, had duplicate items, had 2 of the same item appear. Even though it was like, I saw that and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm just down a choice because I can only select one of these 3 and 2 of them are the exact same.
To be honest, though, the duplicate items thing is bad because it's just a non-choice. But the slave negotiator thing, I would like if they kept, because it's the kind of jank you want in these RNG games where it's
Yeah.
really memorable. Because look, I've told the story; it's beautiful of the story of 4 slave negotiators who made
Yeah.
their way into. Like, this is the kind of thing that is like ridiculous, but that's why RNG is good. It's funny, it's memorable.
Yeah, for sure.
And one thing on the items actually though, sometimes you can, if they give you like 3 choices, so they give you like there's the automatic, right, and then like a resource and then an item, you can actually pick 2 resources or 2 items. You don't have to pick one of each. So if that was how it was, maybe you could have picked 2 of that item
I'll have to look back at the clip. I'm pretty sure it was like the automatic rewards.
and then just items.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think going back to the difficulty, like gold is everything, and once you have enough gold that you can just kit out your dudes, it really does become easier. Also, the gladiator shop scales very well with time, so they'll just send you a level 8 gladiator who's honestly kind of better than your other dudes, and you just load him with a couple items, and
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
Top tier
That
already.
makes me sad. I'm like, I want my dudes from the beginning.
yeah.
I was like, I think I talked about it on the stream. I was like, I feel that the optimal choice is to sell my guys and buy the buffed up versions of them.
Yeah.
But screw that. I'm keeping my old
yeah.
old squad.
I did the same. Unless
Maybe
they
that's
die.
why your
Emphasis on
progression hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say regarding your second run, Mitchell, being easier, I think you just learn.
Yeah,
I
that
do
too.
think there is
I
a learning
do.
curve. You figure out what comps are good into enemy comps, like a lot of auto battlers, and you just kind of steamroll. Like once you know the counter. Right?
Actually, basically only used 1 comp for my entire second.
Yeah, no. Then you get the Omega comp as these things occur, right? With no active balance
Yeah.
changes, and then you just obliterate everything.
It's usually like a standard, then you have flex, like a few flex positions
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
flex depending
Yeah,
on
like
the
they'll fill
counters.
similar roles, and you might.
Yeah.
On your guys' first runs, how many tournaments did you fail before you were able to beat the 6th one? Or like beat the game technically?
Does it tell you?
Completely fail?
No, so like for instance, I think I know I failed pretty early on where like you don't succeed beating all 8 battles in a row or 7 battles in a row. And then the next month you have to go back to that same
Yeah.
arena to actually get through. So how many times did you not get all the way through to the 7th or 8th battle for each of the like in your first run? If that makes sense.
I want to say like I can't quite remember. It's been a little now, but like I want to say at the pyramids was the first time I failed. The pyramids,
The
guardian one, the temple one. Yeah, the ziggurat, I guess more than the
Yeah.
pyramid.
Yeah, I
But
feel like I failed
that
that
is
one
where
too.
I failed the first time, and I think I failed that one like maybe twice. And then the later ones, I definitely, when you're not prepared, I would fail. But again, because like I just threw in the towel like pretty preemptively on them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I failed like 3 or 4 times. But also kind of with that, when you're not on permadeath, you just, oh, well, my A team died. I'm just going to send the B team until I can't send anyone else. And then like literally your whole roster is wiped, but you get more resources. So
I think once. I failed once because you have to hit the surrender button, right? And then you
yeah.
leave the whole tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was because I think I lost night, and I got annoyed. I was like, "Fuck," so I left. But I played very cautiously for my first run. By the time I hit the last town, my guys were like level 15.
Oh, like were you just grinding the same arena?
Yeah, how'd you get to that high?
Sometimes I would grind the same arena. Part of it was because yeah, because I wanted to make sure I succeeded, right?
Right.
So I leveled them up. I would spend time at the same arena to get gold to buy better items.
Yeah.
And also just because a lot of the times I just want to try new units. So I would like in lower level arenas you would put in your under level units, right? And then well yeah, basically you would unlock new buildings and then those units would kind of suck, but you still want to try them.
Yeah.
I agree. I did that like once or twice on my non-permadeath run, my first run, like going back to like grind ones, but I just kind of went to the next one and didn't fail too many times.
Yeah, I think I lost in the tournaments specifically like 3 or 4 times. And one time it's because I just underestimated the power of the necromancer.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a sad time.
I mean, honestly, if your A team gets wiped, you basically get fucked. Like,
Yeah.
because then you still have like six to go, and then you.
I think I
Try your
played
best.
differently from you guys. I didn't have an A team. I played it like Pokemon. I put everyone up to the same level. Like everyone was level 13 to 16. That was the max like range I had, between my.
I definitely had like an A team with some flex in it, so
Yeah.
that most of my squad, which was only like 8 or 9 mercs strong to begin with.
Yeah, I think you
We're
guys played
all-
with smaller squads.
Yeah,
I tried.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only had like 9 to 12 roughly.
I think
by the end game. Yeah.
so. I wanted one of every type of unit. So there was
Yeah, I
that,
had-
and then I would
I
have
had roughly
duplicates.
that.
So then I think I had like 15 and
On
They usually
permadeath.
got like one of each. And that's pretty much it.
I tried to do that. My first run, I had the whole first row and a couple more, so I think I had 20 something maybe.
I think I only upgraded the amount of gladiators you can hold. Like that building, I only upgraded that like once or twice.
I think I got the Steam achievement for it.
this also makes sense because I would do the lower level tournaments so I could get my under level guys up a little bit. Because
Yeah.
until like the later units, I generally found that the early half of units were all pretty usable in some respect. There was at least a niche they would fit into.
Yeah. I think like my A team too, because like you kind of, I don't know, you have a comp, like there's not really much creativity in types of comps you can run. I feel like you can add certain units in, but I feel like you kind of need a front line, you kind of need a healer,
Right.
and you kind of
Yeah.
need a backline. Like there's
The-
no real like, it's just what you flicks in for the DPS kind of. I feel,
Sometimes
or like
it
CC.
depends.
Sometimes it depends on the encounter, but there isn't a ton. You almost always have a tank. I never ran without
The
a
biggest
tank.
one is you always have it.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
the
and
other, except
you can
for
flex
the
healers, like
except
you
for
can
the
use a paladin.
scenarios in the weekly arena or whatever that is like one
Yeah.
versus many, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
then you would
Yeah.
run like a
I ran a warg.
Really?
And 1 versus many. I always ran a warg. But for the most part in the tournaments, I feel like you kind of, it's kind of like like the classic thingy where you have to have like some sort of support, some sort of tank, and then the rest is kind of flex. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you don't really get creative amongst that. You can't just run a deeps team, all support team,
the classic
something like that.
There are a
trying.
couple
Yeah.
times you can, but yeah.
I think you have them strong enough, you could run an all cleric team.
Yeah.
Because I think that's actually one of the enemy comps. It's literally just like 6 clerics that are all super high leveled, and they just try to stall you out.
That's too memey though.
No, they
Yeah.
have like a super buff dude in the middle. It's like a hexagon formation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you have to have one.
They have like
deeps.
one high level like DPS bruiser. And
Yeah, and then they just try to outstall you. It's pretty
there's
great.
like Octo. It's like Octo Heavy from TF2 if you remember. The 8 arms of the Octo Heavy, 8 medics on Heavy.
I feel like a lot of decisions came down to, are they rushing? Are there a lot of them? Or is there a high priority target?
Yeah.
Like I think that's
Yeah.
the 3 decisions you make when you're playing roughly, and you need to solve for.
God.
Like I guess,
Honestly-
or do they have a lot of CC?
Yeah.
That's another one. Those
No,
are like the four
honestly,
decisions.
It was like TFT. To me,
Mhm.
TFT not TFT, but also auto chess, right?
Auto
Like,
chess, yeah.
yeah, the same ideas in those games are literally applied here, the exact same. In TFT, there's assassin units that jump to your
Backline access.
backline, yeah, and kill them very quickly. So how do you beat that in TFT? Well, you box in your units, you surround the squishy units with tanky units, right? And in this game you can set the priority, so you jack up the priority on the assassins with your tanks, so it sticks to them and ensures they don't just wander off into their backline. And then, for example, like a enemy mage comp, okay, you're splitting up your board now. You can't get AoE down, so you put your units around the board. Then, well, your classic, every other comp, which is your classic triangle, front line, back line, support. Then you just position.
Pretty much.
It became a game of rock paper scissors. I fully agree, because those were basically the three comps: the rushdown comp, which you had to stack against, an AoE comp, which you had to spread out against.
The gameplay's at the end of the day, it gets fairly simplistic. It's pretty easy to learn. There's enough fun with, I think, the different classes that you can do things with it. And there's like because there's still rock paper scissors, right? So you still have to think about it enough that it keeps it engaging, I think. But it's definitely not like super strategic.
The thing that's annoying about the rock paper scissors system though is how you can tell permadeath wasn't designed for the system. Because that logic works in less punishing circumstances, but it feels very bad to get that fight where there's like 6 level 34 assassins.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm not doing this. I can't do this on permadeath. Someone will die. It doesn't matter how stacked your team is.
Right.
It takes one misstep on your units, and that unit will die. And you have 9 units, right? That's just not worth it. So you just back out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fights like that. Like, for the fight I hated the most in the weekly tournaments was the many versus one. Because in the many versus one,
The level
Yeah.
plus
50
I think
archer.
they know that.
Yeah.
Because most of the weekly tournament fights give you like a green reward card.
Yeah.
But the many versus one, like, almost always gave me a purple reward card.
No,
which-
the purple, from what I understand, from what I played, it always gives you a green one until you finish the 4th in the series.
So
When
you
you
always
finish
save
the-
the many.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's probably
Yeah,
because
well, I
you're
always save
always
the
saving
many
the
for
many
last,
versus
yeah.
one for last. Yeah, when you complete, so the way that works is there's the arena of death, which is sort of like, I guess we probably should explain the mechanics of this game. Whatever. There's a monthly tournament that you're basically preparing for. There's
Time
6
mechanics.
arenas that the tournament takes place in progressively. The goal of the game is to beat the tournament in all 6 arenas.
Mhm.
And aside from that, you also have quests that can be given you from 3 different factions from the town that your Gladiator Guild is based in. And as well as there's this arena of death, which is what Jeff was just talking about, where there's sort of there's like a set of 4 different situations that you can go in and pick which one you want to do every week. There can be like 1 versus 1 where you send 1 gladiator in versus another one, like 2 versus 2 and all that. The one Jeffrey is talking about is many versus 1 where you send in like 4 or 5 guys against 1 super buff dude. And basically the rewards for the arena of death is you get 1 green card, which is it's resource gacha. So it goes green, blue, purple. You get 1 green card of resources. And then once you clear 4 of the missions, the 4th one, instead of giving you a green one, will give you the higher rarity, the purple pouch. And it just so happens that Jeff is likely just saving the many versus 1 for last. So he's always getting the purple card from the many versus 1.
Also, there's base build, quote unquote.
Oh yeah.
A little bit.
I found that lacking. We can talk about
Yeah.
that later. I want to talk about
Definitely.
many versus few for now. So for the many versus few, basically whenever it'd be like level 44 archer, and I check the damage number, and it'd be like 1,700. I'd be like, okay, yeah, no, surrender. All right, let's just refresh it till I get a knight. Level 44 knight, that's easy, right?
Yeah, the knight is
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
But the level 44, like the hunter or like the archer
Yeah.
or like the
Yeah.
mage,
Someone's
that's a
dying.
guaranteed death. Someone will die. Like on permadeath, I just never touch them. You learn to never touch extremely risky compositions like 6 assassins, 6 wargs. Wargs were better later
Yeah.
as you
Cryomancer.
Yeah.
Stun orc,
basically
yeah.
as
Pyromancers never touch pyromancers.
for me the
Cryomancer.
alpha
I
comp
think
became
pyromancers are more dangerous.
for me
Oh,
the alpha
no, I was
comp
saying for the
became
wargs.
the fire one and the cryo, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys discover the same thing, but basically you alpha strike like every single comp in the game with a sufficiently geared up cryo and fire. So the wargs later were not an issue, but in that interim where they're not getting one-shotted in like the mid-early game, they can be a problem because they're basically the early game equivalent of assassins. So I would avoid war comps for a while, but in permadeath, you basically learn that certain comps are no-go. It's just not worth it.
Or boss battles. Those
And that's why I feel that
the
permadeath
boss battles, they were hard.
That's why I feel that permadeath is definitely not on top of the fact that an entire resource. There's 3 resources, I believe. No, 4.
4. Yeah.
3 of them for construction upgrades, 1 of them for reviving. So sometimes rewards are done because you can't even use revive.
You can only sell them.
You sell them. Yeah.
You can sell them. That's true.
Yeah.
And then there's the building that helps with revives, and as we mentioned before, the gladiator features relating to revives and death just completely are nullified. I enjoyed the game more on a no permadeath run, but I also enjoyed it in different ways on a permadeath.
Me too.
I think the reason is in a permadeath run, if it is more immersive. The feeling of getting ready to press the surrender button is like, it's like I was there, bro. It's like I was a rich, patrician in Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was sitting in the stands. I'm watching like my dudes fight 2 lions. That lion's about to rip my mage in half, and I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm throwing in the flag, But then in the no death mode, it's like a breeze. Like we said before, you just kind of throw your guys, and they're gonna come back anyway. That I think the no death mode especially enforces your alpha team kind of build, because you can revive them. So you kind of just focus on a couple of dudes, but because of the nature of permadeath, just one slip up, someone dying, you need to fill in that gap immediately. You're more incentivized to keep a balanced roster. So in different ways, they're good, but I personally think overall, no permadeath run is more in tune with what the game was going for. Even though there were great immersion, like related feelings with the.
Yeah, they definitely added it later, not designed it into the core.
Yeah. It's not a bad addition. Like it changes up your game, and like you do get attached. Like I actually like my like best dude died, and I just like stopped playing because I was upset. I was like, part of me was like, do I even? I just kind of want to start a new file or something. But
that's me quitting the Irontown tournament.
Yeah, I mean that's the main reason why I'm not super big fan of permadeath stuff.
Yeah, I like feeling sad, so
I like
because I get easily demotivated. Like that's what happened to me in my one of my XCOM runs.
Like, you gotta carry on.
Yeah,
you gotta carry on for Curtis, bro.
I was like, no, I'm just done.
I also get easily demotivated, but I still like permadeath games because the challenge and risk is unique. You don't really get that sensation lost. Otherwise, I like getting kicked in the nuts.
Yeah, exactly. See,
that's
you
a
like crying.
good thing.
the good hurt, but
basically, I lost that night, and I was like, I looked at my money. I had like 7,000, and I was like, "Fuck you, game!" And I just went and immediately bought like 2-3 dudes.
Yeah. So in permadeath, it's funny because the first few guys, like the first time you lose your best unit or something, you're like, and then like towards the end of the game, a good unit dies. You're just like, whatever, bro. I'll just go hire someone else. And
I'll
you're
just
like,
buy an upgrade.
Yeah, you're just like, whatever. I'll just buy another one. I don't even know your name anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not attached to them. You're just a cold-blooded Gladiator Guild Manager.
I
feel like there are always times where you die, especially certain quests. Like someone's gonna die. Like when you're hitting it.
A big part of the immersion was the churn, basically. Where when I was using negotiated units as meat shields, that's when I knew I lost my humanity and I became a capitalist pig.
No, there's one thing that like after 6 months with you, they get worse, and I was like, "You're meat shield."
Old timer.
Like that's definitely the intended design. It's great. It makes you feel like a Gladiator Guild Manager.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like the immersion. I feel that. On immersion, I like the time system was fun. I don't know why. I feel like time systems are almost always fun lately, just because of Stardew. But like, I thought it was cool. It kind of kept you with that dopamine hit of like, oh, I can keep playing. I can go one more week.
Just seeing
sales are coming. There's just constant. until like the last few hours you're playing, but like at the beginning it's like constantly something to do, right?
Yeah.
Constantly something going, so it's a pretty good like addictive gameplay loop kind of
Yeah.
feel.
They throw like a quest at you, you do the quest,
Yeah.
and then especially when you're on non-permadeath, you have a reason to just like let the time go to heal your dudes. So
that makes sense.
Oh, God. Oh, fuck letting time pass, dude. That mechanic is so janky.
Really?
The fact that it pauses every time you go into a menu and you have to manually unpause it, it doesn't remember whether you had the time paused originally or unpaused. That got really annoying.
But
Yeah.
I feel that, but when you use the fast forward button, it moves so fast that I just didn't really care.
Yeah.
No, not even fast forward, just like regular speed forward. You go into the glide,
Yeah.
you go
Oh,
into
yeah,
your
I know.
guild, you come out,
Yeah.
it stays paused.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like I didn't care that much because then you fast forward,
Yeah.
and like it's fast enough, so I was like, whatever.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's a quality.
It definitely could be
Yeah.
annoying though. Yeah,
I was
see.
like mildly annoyed. It became more annoying as time went on. But I would say 80% of my annoyance could be reduced if you just gave me a hotkey. Like if I just pressed 1 or 2 and it just automatically set the time, then it'd be a lot easier.
Or spacebar is unpause.
But there's no
But-
fast forward hotkey, right? Because I was always basically on fast forward.
Yeah,
There's
I'm-
like
no, if I recall, spacebar just remembers what you had it set to.
Okay. Well, that's user error. My bad.
Yeah.
I'd
But
I think the
there's also the thing we talked about in Vorion where like this is one of those games where I wish they would let you just let time pass while you're in the different menus.
Really? I don't know.
Boreon let you do that.
No, that's what I'm saying. If Vorion lets you
Oh,
do
yeah.
that, this game
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't at all.
Mm.
There aren't as many like stoppage points because
Yeah.
you would like if it's you don't get to a you could do a whole month, right? Because that's the
Like
only thing
30
that will auto
seconds.
stop. So
I found the pause useful. I'd often sit on a menu thinking.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but like the option, you know, like if I
Alright.
want to pause in the menu, I can
Sure.
pause in the menu. But the fact that it's like, no, you must pause in a menu. No unpausing while in menu.
I guess
Like that's
That's
kind of
fair.
annoying.
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't feel it personally.
I
but
don't. Yeah,
I see it.
but I
Yeah.
can see. Yeah.
Yeah, on the time stuff, there were a lot of abilities tied around seasonal things,
Oh, I never
which is
used them.
cool.
I
It
never
was
cared about
cute,
Yeah.
just was not good.
Yeah.
Too
I don't know how they
situational.
could have. Yeah, very situational, and like I think it's because you had no control over it. So I was just like,
Yeah.
I'd just rather get a unit that got a perk that wasn't like that.
If they made the seasons more obvious than they were,
Yeah.
like if
Yeah.
they actually changed, like,
Yeah,
because right now
lighting
I
or
think the
something.
only way to tell is the color on the timeline,
Right.
yeah.
as well as the
Yeah.
little icon next to the what day of the week it is.
Mhm.
But if there was like, for example, like when it's like Crimson Rain or whatever, if they actually started making it like Red Rain appear
Yeah.
on the map,
And if they made your
whatever.
character actually super badass during
Yeah.
that season,
I
maybe it
feel
would have
yeah.
made you go.
It's like 50% more intelligence, but you don't really notice. I
Yeah.
don't know. They still
I-
do roughly
yeah.
the same damage.
I think the problem, first of all, the visual cue is the major one. That's the number. But
Yeah.
the second one I'd say is that the benefits were not worth the extra, because the game is not difficult enough to the point where
Right.
that 50% makes a big difference compared to the 30% buffs, which are like also fairly frequent, like extroverted or feeling at
Mhm.
home or introverted, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like those are conditionals are much easier to activate. The weather ones are a pain in the ass because there's too many. In my opinion, there's too many, and the weather is infrequent. So you have like heavy wind, right? You have crimson rain, you have snow, you have
Clear weather.
clear weather, basically, which is like 80% of the weather, right? Like it makes sense. But then the thing is, like, think about the benefits of rain would be like 5% max HP per second, which actually, in my opinion, is kind of shit because a lot of units just get one shot. Like, especially like towards the end of the game. Like these things are not worth the amount of extra brain power needed when you could just run a unit with extroverted and is running 100% uptime on a slightly lesser. Like, it's too specialist. It's too special.
And the game wasn't. Yeah, I think you're right. Like if the game was hard enough to need it,
Yeah.
then maybe it would have been more. But
Maybe it's a
Yeah.
bit of a placebo thing that like because there was no visual cue, I never really felt the difference.
there were
Like,
some
it
times
felt
where I
like-
could feel it, like the mages, especially the mages, because since their thing is tied, especially if they had the int one,
Right.
they would just clear the field.
The buff has to be noticeable. 50% is huge because even I noticed the 30%. But like, it just wasn't worth the effort because you didn't need the extra 20, 10%.
I think also maybe my comps I just didn't notice it, but
To be honest, I was also at a point where you basically alpha strike like you immediately obliterated the front line. So yeah,
How do you guys like the other like overworld mechanics, like the
Like
shop
the
three-
sales?
Yeah, the sales are cool. I thought they were good.
Shop
addition.
sales are pretty interesting. I did like how the both the gladiator and the item shop scaled with, I believe, which arena you were on or what month it was. I think we mentioned before. I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah,
whether
it's
it's
one of
like
them.
whether it's like how many months have passed, or whether it's the average level of your party, or whether it's based on like how many arenas, tournament arenas you've cleared.
Right.
I did appreciate that. I liked the whole questline system thing. It was interesting. Actually, I'm sure
the main story.
I'm generally more positive on it. Yeah, the main story of like you have the three different
Yes.
quest lines, which is like you're either helping. There's three different factions. There's like the necromancer.
Yep.
There's the baroness, who's an elf, and then there's the poor people,
The
basically.
townspeople, yeah.
The townspeople, who are all about burning the witch.
Who's the
Who's the baroness?
Yeah.
I just I would have enjoyed it more if there was actually more decisions to be made there. You just
Yeah.
do all the quests and you get some
They
hatred
all
every now
love
and
you,
then,
yeah.
but they all adore you by the end
Yeah.
of it. And
You
it's-
can only choose one alliance and one main quest though.
And some of the quests do intersect. Some of the quests in certain lines do
Right. Yeah.
do affect the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
if you
thing is the number of reward quests for like a faction rep is much higher than the number of penalties. So
Right.
Yeah.
you kind of just take them all and you get high.
Yeah.
Who'd you guys all ally with?
The townspeople.
I did townspeople because they're the first one who kept giving me quests. They were
Yeah.
asking me to do
Dude.
shit, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, bro."
I did the Baroness for that reason too.
Same too, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
they
she was
just because I didn't realize actually that you needed to make a choice, and because you started doing her quests, she just kept giving you more, and then you're like, oh, okay, I guess no one else wants to give me quests for that.
I mean, they do like I clicked on like the help or like ask the
Yeah.
question. He's like, yeah, you can only choose one, but I was like, well, she asked first, and okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I just didn't realize at first, and then by then I was already committed. So
Yeah.
okay.
not
Some
very
of the
much.
quests design is cute. Like there's
Yeah,
achievements for
it's
stuff
cute.
like opening an
Yeah.
undead pet shop, for example. I don't know if you guys
Mhm.
got that quest line, but you have to
I'll
make
check
like
that
the
out.
right decisions to get the right outcome. For example, to get that achievement. So
Mhm.
there's branches, but to be honest, it's very. I'm very dismissive of it, obviously, because the game is not focused on writing. Like writing is not the main flaw.
Yeah.
The
It's
writing in the parts that aren't just accept the mission are actually kind of funny.
It's
Zany
actually
and
quite
cute.
good writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the writing is fine, the dialogue is fine. It's in character, it's what you'd expect. It just wasn't like don't expect any kind of compelling,
Yeah.
overarching narrative. It's like mildly comedic. It's kind of like feels like filler, in that sense where it just
Yeah.
passes the time and it's pleasurable and basic.
Which is
It's
understandable.
serviceable, it's serviceable.
Which is understandable, at least for this version of the game, where the main
Yeah.
objective is just to clear the 6
Yeah.
arenas.
I don't think the game's really pretending to be much more than that.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
so,
It's not.
yeah.
I'm just saying that don't. Or I just want to be clear, right?
Yeah.
In your expectation of what you want for your dialogue to be like. That is.
Yeah, for
It's
me,
like
I was like,
inoffensive.
I kind of felt bad because it was like pretty well voice acted and kind of well
Yeah.
written,
It was
but
well
Oh yeah,
voiced.
it was well voice acted.
I was just kind of clicking through and really all I was looking at is the rewards at the bottom, not reading the text. So that's kind of how it is. Like you're focused on the gameplay, and it's a nice little touch, I think. But yeah, there are some quests. It's kind of fun if you play 2 playthroughs. You can see like one quest from both
Mm.
sides.
Yeah, that's what I was trying.
But did you choose townspeople both times then, Jeff?
No, I chose Baron. I never finished my second run. I think I just got bored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I felt like. Because after I finished the stream, I was debating whether I wanted to start a second playthrough.
Mhm.
But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, I could feel the main gameplay section starting to like lose its luster a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wanted to try more
A
of the
little bit.
classes and stuff. But it's actually cool though. Your alliance chooses which like specialty units you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can
Although
try
to be
it.
honest, the townspeople, I used them at the start, but later I was like, yeah, these guys kind of suck.
Doo-doo.
Yeah.
Baronesses were pretty good. The crossbow guy
The
was kinda
crossbow
big.
guy.
He carried me through the
Yeah.
early game.
Crossbow
yeah.
guy was annoying to fight against, so I can
Yeah,
believe
awesome.
that.
I think he
Yeah,
was OP in both ways because he will one shot your dudes
Yeah.
and he can one shot their dudes.
because like I put the like pendant that like increases damage taken and
Yeah, me
increases
too.
damage out, and like he literally would obliterate
like
all of the
4K.
backline.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it's kind of nasty, bro.
Did you get the stupid AI where he walks forward after he shoots crossbowmen?
yeah, yeah.
I
did get
lost
that
a couple
guy.
fights because instead
Yeah.
of retreating, he would just run at them while
Why?
reloading.
Why did it do that?
I
Was
don't.
that
I
like a
think it was
perk?
just no.
It
I think
might-
it was just a
It's
AI
either
issue.
pathing blog or
Yeah.
they're coded as melee units.
Yeah, I think that's probably
Yeah.
the thing.
Because I would always put them as far back as possible,
Yeah,
but sometimes they get in and try to punch, and I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
that's not your strong suit.
Yeah,
Reload your damn crossbow.
the knight's like literally running at him, and he's running at him too, and you're like, no.
yeah. And then
Also,
even the
early
other
game
guys,
though, the peasant shield dude who has a super high shield that
Mhm.
it's like a one use kind of shield. Once it breaks the combat, it's broken. So different from the knight. But the thing is, the shield has so much HP. Unless you're fighting a boss, it'll probably stay up the whole combat.
Mm.
And then also he's the rare coveted single attribute dependent unit who's like entirely uses strength because you only want him to take damage.
Sad.
And his shield scales like 10 blocks, has an amount of HP equal to 10 times his strength. So you just like everything else can be 0, and then you just put his strength up.
It's like
Then
the crossbow.
The spear guy was basically like a worse berserk.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I like
pitchfork.
Yeah, pitch.
the stat stuff. I feel like it was like it didn't really matter. You just put it into roughly the stats needed, and like I don't know. I'm sure you can optimize and min max it, but I just was like put it roughly here and there, and it works out. I don't know.
Kind. It was.
Because it's not like you could do like funny RO stuff. Like you can't
Right.
build an int rogue.
There's
like
only
it
so
doesn't
many ways to
matter.
do it, yeah.
Like
That's
you
most games,
they might
my
as well-
man. I'm still chasing that high. You can't do that in most games.
like with how it was for me, like it almost felt like you might as well just allocate it for me. Like I'm literally probably putting it in such a way.
Hey,
I
it's
look
the
at the
Maple
stats
story.
they need. Yeah, I look at the
felt
stats they need. Yeah.
Later, I started off trying to make maybe different things,
A
but
couple of the classes can get away with it, but most can't.
they
Yeah.
all end up pretty homogenous.
Yeah. Like I guess the interesting one was like the priest. You can choose to either spec her into agi or int if you wanted like more often healing or like powerful healing.
I think, like,
But like
All the
Or like your-
spellcasters. All the spellcasters.
yeah, all the
have that decision.
spellcasters had a little bit of a decision, which was
like
nicer.
the wargs.
Yeah.
I
you
don't
could have
think
like a tankier warg or like a more damaging.
I
warg.
don't think it's worth it though,
Like,
because if you actually look
yeah.
at the scaling of those cooldowns, for example,
Yeah.
it's
It's
pretty
quite
clear
low,
that it's
yeah.
worse than just increasing the.
The
like,
main stat.
It's
yeah.
pretty
Whoa.
clear for the only unit who had okay, so basically I don't know about you guys. My stat distribution, unless there was a trait that was like for every 30 max health, 30 stamina, gain 1 point of this, right? Which those were great. So I would focus those to a decent degree. But other than that, every unit basically had I would say for your 5 points on level up, it would basically be 3-1-1. So the 3 goes into either main stat or max health, whichever one you felt, better
Right.
for that level.
Yeah.
Because you were getting outscaled maybe, and like you need more health to survive.
Yeah.
Then you would do 1 in the main stat or health that you didn't pick. Then you would do 1 in the secondary stat. Because
Yeah.
it helps a little bit, but it's definitely not worth it compared to like, because the cooldown might go down by like 0.07 or something, right? For a point allocation of that.
Mhm.
But the
It's
damage or
for-
healing goes up by like 10, for a single
Yeah.
point allocation to main stat.
It depends on where you are in the math. Because I remember doing the calculation specifically for the healer, the chiromancer, and the archer when I was at the phase. I was doing the calculation of like, okay, so 1 point raises the damage by like 10, which is about a 14% increase in DPS.
Yeah.
Or I can put it into agi or intelligence, depending on which one it is, and decrease the cooldown by 0.14 or like 0.1,
Yeah.
which increases the uptime by 20%.
I did the math as well, so maybe we spec our units differently, but I found in practice it was always worse to have the secondary stat up because it's very rare that you want constant heals because the stamina cost remains constant. It's just explosively bad if you're constantly casting a spell like that. Like priests later, especially, I had to start pumping stamina because they weren't keeping up. I realized like they were running out of juice after like 5 or 6 heals. I
Yeah,
couldn't
that's true.
imagine having a high cooldown and just them just doing mediocre heals 5 or 6 times as opposed to 6 chunky ones. You know, like
Yeah.
it's slower, yeah, but they're still full health every time. So
I think that the stat system could have benefited from something like a milestone talent system in there, so that like, because you upgrade their main stats, you see more big number, but it would have been nice to have like maybe like at 30 HP increments you get this, at
Yeah.
30 in increments you get that, or something like that. Because it's hard to build when you're just dealing with numbers and stats. I think it's hard to really care.
Some of
personally.
it's okay, like
Yeah.
the AoE mages, if you pump strength, their AoE goes up. So there was like some
Yeah,
interesting stuff.
that's the
or, like,
secondary
yeah.
stat. That's when you put
Yeah,
the
that's the
1 point into the secondary
Yeah.
stat.
Yeah, or like the knights, the intelligence decreases their cooldown pretty significantly. You only need
Yeah.
to bump their intelligence to like 15 before both of their cooldowns are as low as they
I-
can get.
I just of the camp of number upgrades just aren't fun, personally. Like just pure numerical upgrades just aren't really fun. I feel
Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
a big part of it was the decision. I agree with the gladiator intelligence thing too. By the way, it's very rare though. It is vanishingly
Yeah,
rare.
it is pretty rare
Yeah.
for like
where
stuff like that.
where like a tertiary stat matters ever.
Mhm.
And the thing is, yeah, like Kevin said, it's boring. Because you're just going through the motion at a certain.
Yeah.
I'm just putting
Yeah.
the stats in here because I think this is best. I don't like. I
It doesn't
love
matter.
min-maxing, bro. I love you
Yeah.
know that. I love theorycraft. I love
Yeah.
building. I got excited looking at that. But then I kind of realized that most of the characters are optimized the same way. I
Right.
forgot to mention earlier. One of the few classes that actually gets a interesting stat distribution is the archer, because of how the attack scales higher with strength and agility,
Yeah.
but agility affects accuracy. So you go for 100% accuracy,
and then just
and
pump
then you
strength.
go for, or at least pretty high accuracy, and then so I had a pretty even mix of strength and agility till like later, and then you start pumping strength because agility doesn't matter, right?
Right.
But most
Yeah, there-
classes are, like I said,
I
fit
think-
that 3-1-1.
The difficulty thing is a symptom of the game wasn't that hard either. Like I didn't feel the need to go that hard because I'm able to clear it with my rough. Like I think this is pretty good enough.
Yeah.
I think it would be to the game's detriment if you needed to optimize that hard. to
Yeah,
play,
I'm sure,
because that's
yeah.
like you said, it's just boring.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I think that there's a little bit of customization, but it's the illusion, right? You can't actually make a secondary build character for, I don't think any.
Yeah.
Maybe like one or two of the classes you could.
Regarding
Yeah,
You
the
did for the knight, which is interesting. That like one of the first units you
Oh,
get
like a
on the
damage
default playthrough.
Knight.
Yeah, I had one damage based knight that just chunked people, and then I had one more.
yeah, Knight actually can. He can be built as a bruiser.
Yeah, you can
But the
build
thing is-
either Agi pump or strength pump. I think strength
My
pump
issue
is more
with that
defensive.
though is that it's like why. I think we can start
Yeah.
talking about classes because this is
Yeah,
a
I think-
natural
yeah.
segue. But
Yeah.
like, especially the later, it felt like they were really grasping because it felt like they
Yeah.
were pressured to make 2 U units after every arena, and some of them were just too situational or like okay. Admittedly, I did not use the Necromancer or Storm Dwarf that much.
I never. used
I
Sandorf, yeah.
I thought that in theory the Purifier sounded great. High DPS, single target
Self-peel.
like version of the Fireman, right? That has great self peel,
kind of duty.
but in practice, as the game goes on to like 8, 9, 10 unit combats, the triangle forms. This is the classic problem MMO designers have to deal with.
Where like
Who cares about
hybrids-
hybrid classes
Yeah.
when it's more optimal to have 3 singularly focused classes? I don't care about hybrid like bruiser, like the mace wielder, for example, unless it's like a 1v1 right situation. I think he's great. But in a 99% of cases, the mace wielder sucks because he can't block. He's good for CC, but I can take a cryomancer with one of my 10 slots, right? And then I can take my fire guy as normal, and it's just way better, like than using any of these weird situational hybrid.
I think it was a power creep thing where it was a power creep in the way of the end game encounters always needed 10 people. They could
Yeah.
have solved for this by having a lot of more end game encounters that were forced to be like 3-man squads.
Yeah, if there were like if they had
Yeah.
1v1 matches in those tournaments
Yeah.
or like 3v3,
Or
yeah, then you would see
3v3s,
more
yeah.
application of those. But
Yeah.
almost all of the fights at endgame were like minimum 6 to like
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
people, and it completely invalidates a lot of these hybrid classes.
Mhm.
To be honest, like for example, I think one of the few hybrid classes that I found great was the hunter, because the hunter was this nice mix of a ranger and a fire mage. Because that split shot does a lot of damage. It does like over 1,000 damage with proper stat allocation. So and he has great self heal as well because of the trap.
Yep.
And he's one of the few units that can counter the assassin if they happen to have like one really annoying assassin, right? So again, it's great because this is a situational niche that actually happens quite frequently. Sometimes you want a little more AoE, right? And sometimes you want some single target damage mix like 50-50, and he's great at those. He's pretty good at those jobs, you know. But the later units were just too situational. I very rarely use.
I think it's towards the end game too, where it's like you didn't need to.
Yeah.
So you never really learned the place where they belonged.
I mean, I figured out my alpha comp, right?
You wanted
so
to
it's
try
like
them
Knight,
out,
Healer, Fire Mage, and Cryomancer.
Yeah,
so yeah.
exactly.
But it's the
Yeah, you
kind of
gotta
the
figure
thing
that
where
out.
it's like I have my roles filled: CC guy, damage guy, tank guy, and support guy, and there just never felt like a reason
Yeah.
to take the other. The only hybrids I made liberal use of, I will say, are the hunter and the cleric, the tanky
The
healer.
paladin?
Yeah, the cleric.
Yeah.
I think he was a cleric. Yeah.
The early game
I don't know.
units,
Yes, cleric,
the ones
yeah.
that were simpler designed with a straightforward focus, in my experience, were the strongest units. The ones later were too muddled in purpose to really get.
Yeah, the shaman was okay because he created the totems, right, could tank for you because people would attack them.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a unique niche, but as like a damage, he was supposed to be kind of like a mid between a damage and a tank, and he didn't really do either very well. But I guess he tanked pretty well, but maybe not by design, only by creating minions, right? Yeah, I think overall it's the beginning ones are better.
Part of the issue with the power creep as well is it outmodes other classes. When the AoE mage does enough damage to one shot a unit,
right.
What's the point of running a single target unit, right? Like strictly speaking, the fire mage is just better than the purifier will ever be. There was a few moments in mid game where I did like the purifier, like because I felt like she was more useful in like high bruiser or high enemy tank comps, like 4 Knights, for example. But you know, at a certain point, the fire mage just obliterates everything.
Yeah.
Did everyone play with the default starting units?
Yeah, I started with the default.
I think I used random.
So, because so you didn't start with Archer.
Oh
Archer
wait.
Knight.
Oh no. Okay, I started with.
Default's Archer Knight Berserker,
Yep.
I think.
Yeah.
So I did my first one I looked at, I did Archer Knight Warg, and then the second time I did full random. And I think it actually does kind of affect like how you play, because when I did full random, like I had Mace Wielder at the start, and I just used Mace Wielder the whole damn game, and it actually worked pretty well. So it's interesting because like Jeffrey just said, like he thought Mace Wielder sucked ass, but they worked pretty well for me.
I actually had a high level Mace Wielder, and I did use him in specific cases against enemy divers like wargs and assassins. He's a good backline protector who CCs and provides immediate kill potential. And sometimes I would run him behind a knight because he has the long range attack and he can knock down. But in my experience, there were other units that did the job better. He can do the job. All units can do the job that they were made for. But when you're reaching those, again, 6, 8, 9, 10 unit composition, why bother? You know, why not run 2 fire mages? That just obliterates the entire board if you position them top and bottom. There's no reason to run a mace.
So what was everyone's alpha comp then?
I actually just kind of ran one of everything, low-key. Like, in it, like, you have the most important. You have a range deeps, you have a CC, usually probably a cryo, but like, on Permadeath, sometimes your guy died, right? So you like replaced him with someone else. But then like, Fire Mage I thought was like essential, like Jeffrey's saying. Pretty much like a majority of encounters. It's just hard to beat.
With Permadeath, it is an extremely safe option to run Cryo Fire.
Yeah. And then, you know, I think I always had a Cleric. I always had a knight. I usually ran a warg or something, if depending on what their comp was. The warg, the rushdown characters were the big decisions because like if you put them in the wrong fights, they just die, and you're just like, well, there goes all my investment. But I think I was pretty vanilla. Like I did not do anything too wild. Like yeah.
Pretty much what Kevin said. I'd have 2 knights, my original 2 knights and 2 archers.
Yeah.
And then towards endgame, I'd swap between either cleric or the single target shield healer, depending on whether I need more frontline or more backline protection.
Yeah. I rarely duplicated too. I noticed. I don't know why.
Yeah, I rarely duplicated as well.
As I started feeling the game, I think by the time I finished the bridge, which is just before the Iron Town and the Mountain Knight,
right,
I figured out basically that you can just clear everything with 2 knights, a healer, a fire mage, and a cryo mage. And then usually these fights would be 6-unit fights at that point, right? So then I would throw in like a mana assassin, or I would throw in a second healer or something depending on the fight. Maybe like a priest if I needed someone to. If there was an enemy fire mage, priest is great, right? Because he heals the whole team.
Yeah, clear.
Assuming the fire mage is in level 44 and one shots you.
Yeah.
You avoid those. But yeah, that was basically. I will say actually, I know I felt that the warg was more useful than I got out of it. I felt like I could never get the warg to work. I think I was either positioning poorly. I feel like I was positioning poorly with the warg because oftentimes you go in and die, and at a certain point I just gave up using the warg. But I found the mana assassin to be like good warg.
I could not use the mana assassin.
I was the opposite.
Yeah,
I liked the warg more.
Popped every time, and
I got a mana assassin. I got 2 great mana assassins, to be fair. My first one, and then he died, and I got a second one after. But they both had the first one had the trait where when he kills someone, he recovers like 30% stamina or something like that. And then the second one is kill someone, you gain 40% main stat or something like that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So basically, mana assassin is super easy. In any fight where there's a priority backline target, like a high level warlock or necromancer, sorry, and like let's say he has 2 mace wielders. So your AoE guys will handle immediately the front line. So cryomancer and fire mage handles all frontline issues. The issue sometimes in these fights that can get risky is who handles the backline. And for a while I used the archer because archer's obvious choice, right? But sometimes the archer's projectiles will get blocked while the front line's burning to death, and then their high level backline unit like a fire mage or necromancer can start popping off. So what the mana assassin is great for is immediately just running to him, knocking him down, doing over half his health. Fire finishes him off, and basically you can run that comp against almost everything except like an assassin.
I think you can pretty much use the warg exactly like the.
Yeah.
I think
that's what I did at a certain point.
I think I fucked up with the warg, like I said. I think I just positioned him poorly. But for me, I like the knockdown of the mana assassin a lot because it disables them.
Good, yeah.
Even you have to get the angle with the warg.
Yeah, so you're like,
I started doing it. You put the guys in the middle, and then you put the warg on the top or bottom edge, so he runs around hitting the backline, right? But like, I don't know.
Yeah,
they can be outpaced. They're like more of a stat check, I think, so they can be outpaced pretty easily if they just die or don't have enough damage to kill them quick enough. But,
yeah. And I think they were more because I built my warg tankier too than damage because it was about getting close to those guys, so they stopped doing.
I think
AoE
I probably didn't put enough. It's probably because at that time I didn't realize the importance of health, so I didn't level up too much health, and I didn't put on like. I don't know about you guys, but I was putting on those plus 500 max HP plus 20 strength.
Yeah. Those items were the best.
Yeah. I put them on mages. I put them on.
Those are the best items by far. Like low-key, that's also low-key why I felt stats didn't matter much because the items.
Yeah, the items
really
so
made
big.
up for a lot of your flaws.
Yeah, exactly. For example, builds, I only found out that hunters scaled really great within because the cooldown on their shot goes down by a lot when I put a ring on him because I had no other item. But like. So that's sort of the thing about the stats I agree totally with is that even if a secondary tertiary stat is important, you can slap on like an item.
Yeah.
It
Fix
fixed
it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no real like decisions at the end of the day. Like it doesn't really matter. Which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like
my
it's
Oh.
No, you're good.
my super comp was different. I actually in my second run through did not use a single fire or ice mage.
Ooh.
But I went with one of the scaling super scaler melee guys, so either berserker or mace wielder, and then invigorate. Did no one use invigorator?
I did use the invigorator.
Dude, those
I
guys are.
I used
tried
him
to
for-
use him, but at that point I was like, nah, I'm just gonna keep using what
I used them for boss encounters. That's when I used them the most.
So I did
think.
invigorator, priest, and then usually like paladin or some sort of. I didn't even need a ranged DPS. I had like a necromancer because I was allied with him. So sometimes I'd run no ranged DPS, but because it's I think 1-to-1 scaling on the invigorator. So if you pump him with like 50 int, he raises your main stat by 50, and you can do it 3 times. So you'll have like
Yeah.
a 300 strength mace wielder who just one shots everyone, and then gets healed. So that was my way because the healing was powerful enough with the heal and the shield that they would basically never die, and then just
Yeah.
slowly run his way through everything. Because the invigorate also heals the stamina. So that was
My
my
issue with not running knights as because okay, when you run a bruiser, right, then you're
Yeah.
conceding usually like a knight position or something.
Yeah.
Is that they're very risky. Like they have a higher chance of dying because, for
Yep.
example, Mace Wielder doesn't even have block. Berserker can only block melee and is a weak block. And the second thing is they don't protect your units as well. So because obviously they can die, but because they have a more usually you want them to be more aggressive and chase down enemies. That means that if an enemy gets on your units, then it's just worse. Whereas it's easier to manage like a pure meat shield knight. You just tell him to prioritize all the melee units, right?
Yeah.
And he'll easily just get in the way of all those annoying units, and your backline is free to just deal the damage. Like I think it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
For me, it was actually only really I think because mace wielder was what I started with, so I just used them.
Yeah.
Try to figure out how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, because I agree with you that knights probably work about as well. There's probably a little trade-offs, but they both can do that, pull off that comp. But I just had mace wielders from the beginning. I just used them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The game
once
is
again,
easy
like
enough
it's not
that
that
you
hard. You can do whatever.
Yeah, you can pretty much. I think you can use any comp if you
Yeah.
have them kitted out correctly.
Yeah.
you probably would be okay.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that you guys went. That's pretty different comp, at least, though. I was thinking that most of us had stumbled upon like the same thing, but you guys use fire ice. I think Terry. Well, I guess Terry, you kind of used it, right?
I didn't
Fire.
use fire. I used ice.
Once you get the high of the fire mage, I don't know. It's kind of hard. You just toss one in.
My fire mage
'cause-
was too squishy and was always dead, so she never got to level.
That's why you had to slap on
You buy
those
one.
golden
Yeah.
gauntlets, yeah, and then get her
'Cause-
max HP at 2K, and then
How did you deal with the quest where there were a bajillion small units without a fire?
yeah.
I feel like you just needed to
Very
use a
slowly.
fire mage.
Yeah.
Slowly.
No, you against the.
'Cause-
Do you
yeah.
guys do the spider?
Yeah.
Okay, the spider fucked me up actually.
Yeah, actually
think I
though,
agree with the
fire
spider
mage,
boss.
I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
either if it wasn't fire mage, it had to be hunter because hunter's the only one
Yeah.
with comparable AOE.
No, I was mad the first time I did it because I was like, boss fight, don't need my fire mage. Then I literally went in and like was about to lose, and I was like, I needed a fire mage.
Nah, bro, I
Yeah.
saw that ability. It says spawn spiderlings. I was
I
like, this is
know.
gonna be important.
Yeah, I just didn't think they were gonna be that strong, that many, you know.
I actually didn't. I only had it on my non-permas death run. I got that quest, and I actually couldn't beat it because my highest level was like level 8 because how I played it. And so
Yeah.
I just didn't have the DPS or tankiness to win that fight.
Yeah.
I think.
That's actually one of the rare comps where hunter I think is best because he has AOE to handle minions. So hunter's really great in high melee comps, but you will need the single target damage later. For example, a frontline, an enemy with like 6 wargs in front and has like a level 38 necromancer in the back, right? Then you want hunter to split shot, immediately kill all the wargs, and then he will wear down the tanky guy.
Yeah.
Or the main DPS, because you need a single target DPS.
Bosses were fun because it was kind of like you roided up your tank because it was like you didn't want
You
many
gave them-
tanks. You wanted a
Yeah.
good tank, right? Because I think one of my wargs died once because I ran them in the boss. I was like, oh, that was a mistake. I'm never
Yeah,
doing
you just
that
like
again.
AoEs or something.
Yeah,
No,
they
yeah.
just die.
No, I only
But
ran
you
at
just-
tanks against bosses. I
Yeah.
lost my first warg too to the bridge troll.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that was when I was like, dude, wargs suck. Fuck it. Like I'm done with wargs. Like I think
Yeah,
they're
you-
better. I'm just doing them badly, but I don't want to bother with it.
Yeah, they definitely aren't made for that encounter.
But the thing is, you feel like they would be, right? Because they're like
Yeah,
single
melee
target.
Yeah, no, it's all about the range deeps
Yeah.
of the tank.
The
for
thing is,
boss.
all the bosses
Yeah.
get an AOE attack, which makes these
Yeah.
assassins like really cripplingly bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Big AoE attacks is the thing. They're like very
Yeah.
powerful. Actually, I think I
Yeah.
beat one boss by going full range and just made like a rainbow. And
Yeah.
that one like was not immune to knockback, so I was able to like
Yeah,
make it instead. Yeah.
CC it.
I think that would work if you had crossbow because they can keep.
Yeah.
I crossed
pushing
him in the brigand. I don't know if you guys ever had the brigand.
Yeah.
Is that
He
the
also-
spear guy?
Yeah, spear
Yeah.
and net guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he could like freeze them and then push them back.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Craig just died. Craig's getting fired, bro.
Useless.
Use.
Right. I guess then, does anyone have anything else they want to talk about, like class wise or battle wise?
Did any of you
No,
use the
guys.
Storm Dwarf? Actually,
I did not.
The
No.
Muradin?
it just
I kind of didn't have enough money at the end.
Yeah, I didn't
That
have
I-
enough. I don't think I even got him.
Yeah, I don't think I even unlocked him.
Yeah.
comes after
He's the last
Iron.
one.
Yeah.
He's
I
Shaman
think at
and-
that point I just wasn't even caring anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to like him.
Because of Warcraft.
Yeah, I wanted to like all the units. Okay, I think the
they're
Invigorator
cool.
I didn't use, but was great. And judging from what your guys' replies, Invigorator probably was pretty good, like I expected. I was kind of on the Necromancer. Seems like a lot of setup when I could just run a strong unit, right?
I like the Necromancer because sometimes I had him before you had big CC units. So like his little.
Wait, when
CC
did you get
was
the
pretty-
Cryomancer?
I just chose to unlock him later because I was like, Cryomancer kind of sounds lame. And then
Classic Kevin's.
I unlocked them all as they came.
I usually
I
didn't have
did it
enough
in, like,
resources.
yeah, I usually
left,
didn't have enough
half of them.
resources.
I
Yeah.
left half of them locked.
I unlocked
Wait,
most
Wait,
of
you
them
didn't
on
use
first
half
one.
the units?
Yeah.
There's a
Seriously?
man
That's
who
like
sees
that's
a
the
lot
best
of
part.
units.
Literally, I pretty much at endgame, like I said, I only had Knight Archer, Warg, Cleric, the single target healer, and
Priest.
Cryomancer. And I had a Berserker, but the Berserker was so low leveled he kind of just kept getting owned.
Yeah, and so Terry's a man of habit, so I think he just kind of
Yeah.
with his
I mean, yeah, basically. Then the only reason why I tried some of the units, like the Cryomancer,
I think we told you too.
yeah, you guys told me to try the Cryomancer because I remember because
Yeah.
that's the question I was gonna ask. Like, do you guys remember your first impactful loss?
Yeah.
Like, cause for me it was that work. It was the first time I picked the work fight, thinking it was gonna be easy, and then forgetting that wargs just run past knights and just head straight for your archers.
Yeah,
I
my
just got
first traumatic
completely
fight was
demolished.
fighting Warg. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got
That was
completely
when I
demolished. I
went-
was like, oh,
I
I-
full
I-
TFT on that motherfucker. I started bringing my Berserker to all Warg fights. Blast.
I
That's
remember.
when you really start using priority.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It wasn't my first death, but it was something I overestimated on my permadeath run. I had my golden mace wielder. He had been with me from the beginning. He was like level 10, and I fought like 8 purifiers because I was like, oh, purifiers don't do much damage because my comp was all about like low damage, right? If they can't burst through it, then the invigorator and the priest will heal him. But when all 8 purifiers focus one dude, he burns down real fast. And that's when I stopped playing after that for the day. But they killed my dude, and I was very sad about that.
Your boy.
Yeah, his backup killed the rest of them in revenge, but it was pretty sad.
His reserve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I thought purifiers, their DPS isn't. You don't think it's that
Yeah.
high, but stacked 8 times is.
I mean,
It's
any
actually
unit stacked
pretty
8 times
good
could
if
be
you
kinda
level.
scary.
The numbers are actually good. It's just
Yeah.
it doesn't look big, right?
Yeah, because it's AOE or it's not AOE, DOT.
It's EOT, yeah. You have one, Kevin.
Not a specific one. I just remembered. I can't remember what killed it. I just remembered my units died and I was sad. Like I had a couple wipes where like you
Yeah.
got wiped and you just fill your party with like these 0 cost negotiators, and you're just trying to rebuild, and like yeah.
yeah. Because I just have a couple of significant losses in my head. The Warg one, and also the first time I fought that necromancer,
Yeah.
like I said before.
I knew I was a evil Gladiator Guild Manager when I was like on like the second to last arena or something, and I was like fight 8, and then like I usually throw in the towel, but it was fight 8, and I was like, I think we can win, but we're gonna suffer heavy casualties, and I was like, damn, it's the last one. I don't want to have to wait. That's okay. We're just gonna die, guys. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
bro, no. No, I would have just left. I can't do that.
No,
How many
I was
lose?
like, I probably lost like half of my main team. And I was just
I
like,
put too much into these guys
Yeah.
to lose it.
I know, but I remember specifically there's this decision point. I was like, okay, I can throw in the towel and it'll be okay because I was like, oh shit, yeah, their deeps is too high.
Yeah.
People are gonna die. But I was like, I really don't want to have to wait a month and go like a whole thing.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was pretty rich. Like
even
you
on
just
Yeah.
get a
the
point.
even on the green
you get
card
so many
one,
resources.
the easiest one.
A part of me was like, we ain't no bitch too. I think.
He
Did you
didn't
just
even-
always pick?
He
Did you just always pick the
knowingly
purple
picked the
fights?
higher
I
reward
low-key
one for his
usually
dudes
picked
to
the
die.
purple. Yeah. Yeah. But I remember I was like, I think we could do this. Because it was already it was a miscalculation on my part. So their blood is on my hands. Because you already started, right? So you can't change once you start.
No, you can.
You can.
Oh really?
There's a
When you
button,
when
yeah.
you
I
pick
forgot.
the fight, one of the options is start fight. The other option is
No,
Change
once
fight.
you start fighting though, you
Oh.
can't.
Oh, once you hit
yeah.
the start, yeah.
Yeah. So it was already we were already in. And I
Oh, you
was
could have
like,
hit surrender. Yeah.
Yeah, I could hit
Yeah.
surrender, but I was like, no. Well, yeah, no,
So
I'm
if
not
you
gonna wait
die,
another
but that's a
month.
risk I'm
Yeah.
willing to take.
I gave them a good pep rally talk before
Yeah.
we went into battle or before they died.
I
Yeah.
only picked the purple fights if it was a team comp that I knew that my
Yeah.
base team countered.
I only did
I
that
picked them-
one permadeath, but
I think
Which is
this
what
explains.
which is what led to my necromancer loss. Because I was like, oh, it's just a single necromancer surrounded by berserkers. That's fine. I have the warg and my 2 archers. It should be fine. And then
Yeah.
I started the fight. My front line kills one of the berserkers, and then instead of reviving as a level 8 berserker, it revives as like a level 30 berserker. And I'm like, oh, that's how necromancers work. This is gonna suck.
I guess I was just really careful. I always read new enemy unit descriptions. So I remember the
Yeah.
first time I encountered a high level necromancer in a purple
Yeah.
fight. It was like a level 30 something. I was like 144 int. Nah, fuck that. Fuck this shit out.
See, so I would look at it and I would be like, "We got this, man. You can do this." But then usually for those fights, if it went bad, I would surrender. I'd be
I
like,
only
"Okay."
started taking those fights once I got the assassin, because I quickly realized the assassin just absolutely murders, because he's a guaranteed damage deal and disable
Yeah.
right on the main target for like
Yeah.
0.5 seconds or something.
Yeah. But when you get rich in the game, you become a savage. I don't know. You're just sort of like,
Yeah.
oh, I can just buy another guy. It's whatever.
usually a better guy too.
And your heart was already broken at some point before you got to that point by losing your favorite guy. Yeah.
Actually, losing items though, that one hurt
That losing items did hurt. Yeah.
because that'd be a big investment.
Actually,
But
no,
then, okay, so
Uh-huh.
oh sorry, just quickly, but I had a power spike because I didn't. So the first playthrough I played was Permadeath. I didn't know the mana crystal. I was waiting the whole game to see
Oh.
what these mana crystals were for.
Same.
And I was
same.
like, towards the end, I was like putting it together. I was like, I bet you that's to revive people, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I just sold them all and I had so much money. And at that point, I was just like, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
cash injection.
Yeah.
You're saying, Jeff?
Oh, I think the reason why I went back to lower tier tournaments and leveled up so much compared to you guys, I always went for the purple.
Yeah,
I
I did purples.
almost never went for green. I basically would try to do 8 out of 8 purples every time.
I always try to do. I just followed the. I just like did tournament to tournament. I always try to do the hardest one I thought
Yeah, me too.
my party at the time could do,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Same.
usually blue and occasionally purple. But sometimes there'd be like anti-archer comps
Yeah.
in both the
Oh,
blue
yeah.
and the purple,
Yeah.
and I'd be forced
Yeah,
to take
yeah.
the green.
Yeah, same. It wasn't until
you
the
try to.
bridge that I even took a green, because I almost always was like 7-1, 6-1, or 6-2, like purple, blue, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Because it was at the point of the bridges when they really start, because there's enough units where they really start branching out the comps.
Yeah, because you were
Sometimes
saying
you just can't take a purple. Like sometimes the
Yeah.
fight is just too bad.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you're yeah.
like a 6 mana assassin one where they're all like level 20s.
Yeah, or even like
'cause-
the high priority, like sometimes they have the super crossbow guy, like
Yeah.
he's the highest level
If
guy
they
on
have
the
like
team. I'm
3
not
level
doing
20
that shit.
archers, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
someone's
Oh
dead.
no, I
Yeah.
figured out the secret to those is so the issue with the cryomancer and the fire mage is that they only hit the front, right? So the guys in the back don't get hit. That's when you just run the mana assassin, because he guarantee kills one of them immediately. Then if you
Yeah.
He still has to run over though. I don't know.
oh he
Yeah.
runs
He's kinda
super
slow.
fast.
I feel like he was slow, bro.
Yeah. Well, I guess you
Even
can
like the
upgrade.
warg.
Speed is an upgrade though. so,
That's true.
yeah.
My warg zoomed, bro.
I don't know
My warg
why
was
my
like
mana
Goku.
assassin was so fast. Maybe it was because of the stamina buff he got after killing someone. But I remember
I think you
what-
probably also just got lucky on the stat rolls.
Yeah, sometimes
maybe
Yeah.
I never leveled move speed basically except like once. Like
Because they move
Same.
significantly slower
than
than the
wargs,
warg.
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it was really weird though. It would be like he would kill someone like on the opening phase, right? So he'd go up to the 20 archer or whatever, kill them, right? And then so the archers are positioned top to bottom. He would just like zoom over to the top. It would be like a second of movement. Legitimately. It was like his move speed doubled after killing someone. And then
It's
it would
interesting.
slow
I don't
down,
know.
you know, but then he
You
would
got
kill
a
another
super
person
mana
and then he
assassin,
would
bro.
just run.
My
I
mana
literally
assassin
made-
sucked ass.
I literally would sometimes I'd run a warg and a mana assassin. And I'd watch to see who was better, and the warg was almost always better
Yeah.
for me.
Mana assassin would like
Yeah.
run up slowly, like knock him over and like stab him a couple times, and then he would die.
The
After-
mana assassin had its place. Like
Did you guys
I think
oh,
when we're
did you
talking about like the
guys-
octagons where you have like a super single high priority guy. the
Yeah,
mana
that's what I'm saying,
assassin was
yeah.
better.
Like against
But
the,
in
the
general
level
for-
38 crossbowmen, I'm
Yeah.
always running mana assassin.
Yeah. But for murdering a backline when they're not nested inside of their tanks, I felt like
Yeah.
the warg was better. But
Yeah.
when they were nested, I liked the mana assassin more.
Did you guys put in on it?
Yeah.
You put in
I
an
did.
agility,
I
right?
can't put int
Yeah.
on something I didn't unlock.
I only used him like very.
Because
Honestly, I used him not that much because
same.
you buy them at such a high level, you don't really
You're so late.
stat
Yeah.
them that much.
yeah, no. But when I bought him, he was 16, and the rest of my team was like 13 to 15
What,
tops, right?
level 16?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it is month based then, because I never found
Yeah,
it as
that's,
level
I
16.
never bought a level 16
Yeah.
either.
Well, my units were 13 to 15.
Yeah,
I think it
no,
might
that's
just-
why that's what I was saying when we were saying earlier how
Yeah.
we were unsure how the shop
Progression.
gets filled.
Oh yeah.
It's probably a month based thing, man.
Yeah,
It's
no.
been
Towards the end of the
month-based.
game, I had level 18 units.
Oh, the shop was usually lower level.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually, but I would have like some
Yeah.
higher end. Like
Occasionally, you'd get a couple.
I was level my 13. My team average was probably 13, and I got a level 17 paladin.
Mm. Dang, really?
My
Maybe you
shop
get
matched-
RNG'd.
Yeah, my shop generally matched my average.
Yeah. There'd be like one or two that would like match your top usually, but not.
I had a few. Usually there'd be like one or two that were just
actually
for
there
s-
may. Yeah.
Yeah?
They were kind of expensive. I think is probably why. I never
Yeah,
bought
yeah,
them.
they were.
Or-
But like there'd be one or two that were just way over leveled compared to the rest of your team,
Yeah.
and it's worth it because he can carry like full fights. Like I said, that assassin basically invalidated all those backline issues. 'Cause that's when I figured out how good. But I leveled int because that increases the alpha strike damage by a lot. And then I leveled agility because that increases auto attack damage.
I could also see those being like stat dependent. Like they need more stats to be good. Because like I had like level 6 mana assassin and he sucked. So maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Levels.
Yeah.
Because he was
Mhm.
doing like over 2,000 damage, like on the opening blow. That is a kill, right? Like that is just a straight up kill.
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah.
get the 40% stat buff, and you're just
Jeff, you said you ended the game with your pretty much your entire guild around level 13 to 16.
yeah. Because sadly, my 215 knights died to the
Spider.
I think it was the second spider fight. I lost a lot of good units that day. I think everyone died except for my priest and my fire mage. So I had 213. Yeah. Otherwise,
on,
they
I
would
was
have been average 15 to 7.
Oh, yeah, because I think my alpha units were my main knight and my main archer were level 15.
Yeah.
I know because they unlocked the extra equipment
Slot.
slot, but I think everyone else was
Yeah.
between like 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Oh, I used them very evenly. And remember, I probably played over longer.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
durations.
saying. It's probably that's another case of like you probably ended up playing a lot longer, since you
Yeah.
did a lot of repeat fights, your
I
units
tried
just
to
ended up
Pokemon
much
it.
stronger.
I wanted everyone to
Yeah.
get used. I really wanted
That's
to
not
believe.
Pokemon it. That's anti-Pokemon. Pokemon is your main is level 90. You have the
No.
random level 70
No.
legendary.
No.
You have
shut the
one
fuck up.
other level
Professor
like
Oak,
70, and the rest are like level 5 HM people, and that's it.
You disgust me. Professor
Pokemon was
Oak-
not a hard enough
Professor
game to
Oak
make
would
me do
hate your
that.
ass. You're supposed to treat them all with love and
Nope.
care.
I
You
don't
play-
think that's how. I've
Ash
never
game
played
is
doesn't even
Pokemon
treat
right
all
now.
of them with
That's-
love and care, dude. You know how many Tauroses he hasn't touched in years?
That's Ash. I'm talking about Professor Oak, motherfucker.
Yeah, the game was Pokemon is not hard enough to make me think like that.
No, I just wanted to treat them equally well. I believed in. I wanted the Berserker to be good. I wanted the Warg to be good. So I would
That's
put effort into all of them.
Pokemon.
Like,
yeah.
even at the end of the game, like I said, there's that 6-unit core basically, right? With 2 knights, cleric, fire mage, cryo. But there, I would always try to justify situations where it'd be like, hey, I can use my purifier here. Like, hey, I can use my mace wielder here, you know?
Mhm.
But yeah, I tried. But that's why my fire mage was level 17 anyways.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Slight tangent on it, but I kind of want to hear about so Terry streamed this game for the first time, right?
Yeah.
First time for everything. I kind of want to hear what your thoughts on just that was. I think that'd be
On streaming?
a good one. Yeah, just in general.
It
Like,
was
how
pretty
it for
fun.
you?
Kind of didn't help that I had just come off of spending some time with family, so I was pretty sleepy from not getting good sleep. But that's another thing. But yeah, overall streaming this game was pretty fun. Just with you two there in the chat.
Mhm.
As training wheels to sort of interact with people.
Do you think that
Uh,
this was a good streaming game? Like, where would you put it on that?
I think it is just because of how simple it is, and you missing like the first hour, you can still kind of jump in like the middle of a run and be able to be caught up to speed really fast.
Mm-hmm.
I think it allows you to talk and react better too, because you're not playing the game at all times, right? So you're like
Yeah.
watching a fight, you're watching with everybody.
Which, to be fair, even though it's like I know it's not the genre, it's the genre of auto battlers. I wish you had a little bit more control than just the prio
Mhm.
on the units. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember watching your
yeah.
stream and I didn't even know you could prioritize individual units. I always did the other one where you did like the backline
yeah.
support. And
By
I
class.
by class. And I was
I
like,
used both.
what?
I
Yeah.
use for the supports I would use by class.
Yeah.
But for the flankers, I would usually do individual. But
Mhm.
actually,
Yeah.
for my super mace wielder, I didn't even bother because he would just smack everybody. I stopped using priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, being able to assign priority to multiple units at once
Mhm.
would be
Yeah.
nice, because it was really annoying. I have 2 archers. I know for a fact both of them I want to have the exact same priority on these
Yeah.
5 units. Ah.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah. But
Uh,
overall,
but
good
overall
streams?
streaming was fun, yeah. And I'm excited to keep streaming the games because it's a good opportunity to let you guys who maybe either don't have the opportunity or don't want to play don't feel like playing the game to be able to still experience the game when we talk about it.
You
Yeah,
weren't
you'll-
talking about us? Kind of hurt, bro.
The royal them.
I know.
I think as a last point, we can talk a little bit about business practices because this is an early access game.
And
Really
it feels like it.
First one. It's early.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell, but I think more than some, right? It's not one of those like early access horror stories. It's very playable. There's enough game in there that it doesn't feel like a demo per se.
Yeah.
And it was, for reference, it was $10. I think
Yeah.
you guys played like 5 hours. I played 10. Jeff played 10. But
Yeah.
your thoughts?
On early access as a whole?
No, well, no.
I mean,
On this game,
You
it's-
want
well,
to you
can-
want to
you
you
can
want to
preface-
lecture? We start with Minecraft.
Yeah,
Oh,
early
yeah,
access
it's
has its
technically
place.
Minecraft Alpha. Except Minecraft
Yeah.
Alpha pretty much felt like a full
A game.
game.
Yeah, Minecraft was, I think, the initiator to these indie games doing
Yeah.
a lot of early access, though.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like this
Yeah.
game. This game there is a full game in there technically, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Similar.
I don't think it's a couple of like I don't know, Terry. What are your like main qualms with it being early access?
Uh, I don't know. There's just enough early access horror stories, and it's like a closed beta versus open beta kind of thing, you know, where it's like I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about it. 'Cause at the same time, I'm like, ooh, Kickstarters. Yay. It's pretty much the same thing where you're paying them money in the hopes. Well, in this case,
Yeah.
you're actually getting like a product, but it's like not
Yeah.
necessarily a finished product. And thankfully, something like Gladiator Guild Manager, even though it felt early access, it still felt finished at least.
Yeah.
It's
Worth
very
$10.
playable, right?
Yeah, but I don't know how to feel about the whole like early access or you pay to access our beta or whatever.
Yeah.
You pretty much pay us to be our beta testers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's early access as a model is pretty interesting. And some games definitely do it better than others.
Yeah.
It's similar to Kickstarter. Like some places do it better than others. Some people just take the money and run.
Right.
Some people make a good game. I think a big one that is in recent history that I think of early access is like Hades was an early access game. And that was a big part of how they were able to design it. Like they talked a good deal about how they kind of wanted the player feedback in there and they needed that. Because I think you say like you're paying the beta test, but like you aren't really paying the beta test because you're not really testing for
Yeah,
them,
you're playing
right?
you're playing the
game.
pay the game. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so I
'Cause
can
it's
see
not like you have
aspect of,
notes down, sending them builds, and like you're not working.
Good
You're
early access is
paying
not
for
like
early
crashing.
access.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
paying for early access, exactly.
Yeah, early access good early access should be not beta
Like a
testing. I could
stable.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AKA
You're
this
paying
game.
for a peak.
Well, because I
Yeah,
think
this game was a good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beta's been kind of besmirched as well. Like
Yeah.
the betas that people play are
Play.
not real beta tests.
Betas. Yeah.
Um,
They're pretty
mean-
much the game a month before launch.
The group here are all coders, right? So you guys know what a real beta test is. But yeah, I think looping it back to the Gladiator Guild Manager, I think it is a good example of an early access game.
Done
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Done well, yes.
I agree.
And it
Yeah.
looks like they're still working on it.
What the frick is the name? Was DRG an early access game?
At some point, I believe it was.
Yeah.
When we hopped on, it was already a fully
it was
released
already-
game.
yeah.
Or was,
Yeah.
It's full
Oh,
release.
Oh, you know what else is an early access game? One of our favorite games. Can you guess? Raft.
Oh, Raft is still in early access. Yes.
Wait, Raft is still in early access?
Yeah,
believe so, yeah.
still in
When
early
you
access.
said favorite, that would never have crossed my mind.
No,
Hey,
Raft
bro,
is
don't act like
no,
you don't love Raft.
Raft is a
No.
great fucking game.
Okay, to know how much these guys played Raft, I didn't play with them. I was in Taiwan at the time, and I was up eating dinner while these guys were up playing it on the west coast of the US, which for reference means they were playing it at like 5 in the morning.
We played till like 9 a.m. some days, dude.
No,
Raft
no.
literally.
No, we
We
started
hit
like
sunlight.
no, we played for
like-
8 hours, but I don't think
No,
we
we played till like
9.
7 to 8 a.m. Like
You guys,
Let it
no,
be
the latest you guys
known.
played was like 6 or
Yeah.
7.
Let it be known that I played a solid at most 6 out of 10 game for the boys until 9 a.m.
Don't
Maybe.
lie, you love fucking
I have
Raft.
repeated this for years, and you did not believe me.
We don't.
No, we'll never believe you because we know you loved it just as much as we did.
The game at
It
its
was a-
core is a 6 out of 10. Like with the co-op experience, it's always better,
Yeah.
right? But
yeah.
yeah.
It was a good co-op game, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will always appreciate Raft. Okay, this is such a tangent, but I will always appreciate it because we were pretty old. We were pretty old
Yeah.
when we played this. I was like, damn, I still got this in me. With the right game, I think honestly, the next game to do this, if we play like Valheim or something, I think it's gonna happen again.
Survival
Honest-
is the treadmill.
Yeah, you just can keep going, and you're just chilling with your boys,
Yeah.
and you just keep playing. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and circle back. The fact that Raft is still in early access despite the fact that
circle back.
you guys picked that
Circles
up.
back
yeah.
right into Raft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You guys, circle, literally circle. You
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
picked that up like 2.5 years ago. That's where I start to get like
Yeah.
2.5, 3 years. That's starting to get
Yeah.
to a pretty long time to be not in a full release state.
I'm okay
It's because they changed scope while
they're
they're
a small
making it.
team. First
Yeah,
of all,
they're
like
small.
4 people.
Like 4
And
people.
honestly, I think earlier we were talking about early access qualms. I think I'm different, and we're also talking about how beta doesn't mean beta anymore. And a large part of
Yeah.
this, well, it is partially the company's fault because they keep pushing out pretty polished betas, right?
Yo, they added whales to Raft. I just want to put that.
Yo, let's go.
My point is that the public's expectation of these things, I feel, has become
Yeah.
has changed too much. Like when I kickstart something or when I get an early access game, I do my research, and I'm not trying. Listen, I'm not trying to victim blame here, okay? But I'm just saying that I have the expectation that yes, potentially 0 things will come out. Like yes, they might just take my money. That's why I very rarely kickstart. But
Yeah.
I accept that risk, right? When I do. So I'm okay with it when it does happen. It just sucks. I will be more diligent in the future and not dealing with these individuals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm usually like out $10, right? Like okay,
Yeah, but it is I think because these things happen, it shows a flaw in this system of early access.
Overall,
right? The
yeah.
fact that people can get abused. Like I think
would
yeah,
you
maybe
call
you
it
should just
abuse
be
though?
a
Like
smarter.
the terms of the contract have been laid very clearly out. They don't promise that.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily abuse. Sometimes it is, but sometimes in the case of Raft, you guys like still
they-
fun. But it's still weird for me that
Yeah.
3 years in early access.
For me,
Yeah.
yeah 3 years.
It's abused because they don't promise you anything, but they do.
Yeah.
It's not like they're like this will happen maybe. This is they tell you,
They give you a
this is the
roadmap,
game we're
yeah.
building. They sell you on it, and obviously you fall for it, and like it sucks. But, like you should be conscientious, but like I don't want to fully shift it away for the people that fail to deliver because like they totally did lie to you if they didn't deliver.
Yeah.
Because rarely do they. It's like the fine print. Technically, you did sign up to get scammed, but
It
you
depends.
morally
Sometimes
were sold.
they'll return the money, for example, right?
Rarely.
And
Yeah.
Not for the bad
And-
ones, but yeah.
yeah, not for bad ones, of course. I've had the
Yeah.
fortune of never backing a bad one. The thing
Yeah.
is, for rap, it's a small team, 4 people. So I understand.
Yeah, Raft is.
They're constantly pushing out content. It's slow,
Yeah.
but like every half year they'll put
Yeah.
something out. So they're at least putting effort. And again, I
Yeah,
went
yeah.
in with the expectation that what I already get when I buy rap, there's already a game there.
Yeah.
Is it worth
Yeah.
the money I'm putting in? Whenever you back something like you have to think about, are you okay with putting money for what you're getting now? Which is
Yeah.
why I say you have to have low expectations. If I'm getting nothing for this Kickstarter, right, for putting $10 in, I'm okay with that. That means that when I bought it, I only bought it because I'm okay with that. I will never ever buy something that promises something in the future, right? Like it has to be
Yeah.
there. I have to be okay with what I get
agree.
now. You have to lower your expectations.
I mean, I think
I
we're
can
all
see that
pretty
viewpoint.
similar.
Yeah.
We don't buy. I don't think any of us really play early access
Well,
games for that
Terry
reason.
Kickstarters things, but
Yeah.
Kevin says this as we're both awaiting the fucking Avatar Legends.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's something where I also just didn't care though.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
those
that's
things-
true.
When
Other
you put the
situation,
money
yeah.
and you're okay with
Yeah.
potentially
yeah.
losing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I want to.
Raft is a interesting case too, though, because it is sucky that they're in early access for
But the
3
game's
years. But
kind
like
of
Jeffrey's
finished.
saying,
I don't know.
they keep adding stuff, and
Yeah.
the reason they're still in early access, I think, is because they're changing what they want to do with Raft.
Yeah.
So like they constantly are. At least they're putting out content. It's not like it's been radio.
Yeah,
silent
that's
for
true.
3 years.
But like in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm like,
It is.
it's one of those things where I'm like, couldn't you just like release it, like full release it, and then still just? It's one of those things where it's like it's just the title, and at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I guess in my case, with my line of thinking, it doesn't really matter whether you're labeled at that point, whether you're labeled early access or not.
I disagree with that on a marketing and business perspective. On your 1.0 release, that is a huge hype campaign.
Yeah,
That's
you
when
have
you're
to,
putting in
yeah.
all your marketing, right? Putting in across the internet. This game is releasing. That's when you're expecting the biggest sales volume to come because you're making
Uh-huh.
awareness. No, it's not like Raft is putting any money towards marketing now. They're just building
Yeah.
the game, but they're waiting for that moment when they can, blow their supplies on this huge release and really get eyes on. That's why
Okay.
release date isn't.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't
Yeah.
consider that.
Like in some
Yeah.
cases, I agree. Sometimes it feels like the label is just like the game is finished. Why are you, there are a few? I can't think of any right now, but there are games where it's
There,
like,
yeah, there have been.
yeah, this is like the finished
Yeah.
game. Why do you call it beta? I think in Raft's case,
Okay.
because they're
that
waiting for
makes-
like this full story to be done. Then they
Right,
call that a
yeah.
complete game. Then when the full story is done, they can sell it to people and say there's a complete story here for you to experience.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the gameplay loop was pretty finished.
This become a
is-
Raft mini.
I know.
Oh yeah.
Because Raft is a great game, and because we've all played it, we probably won't cover it, but y'all should play Raft
Maybe
if,
one day.
if you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gladiator Guild Manager, once again, I think does hit all the boxes, right? There's a working prototype, and they're
Yeah, I
just
think it's a good one.
filling out. Like, you can clearly see, like, half the screen is still not filled in, so that's probably their 1.0 is when they hit that. Add some
Yeah.
more classes and so on. Everyone thinks it's worth your $10.
Yeah, I think it was worth $10.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Wait, so we're using a worth question now, or are we
No,
gonna
this-
Oh
use-
yeah,
this is
this
separate.
is a s- a
Okay.
marketing
Because,
question.
like, the pathless, right? I was like,
Yeah.
it's hard to
Yeah.
recommend at $30.
I think it was 40.
It was 40.
Was it 40?
It was,
Yeah.
we got it for
Full
20. It was a 50% off, if I
Yeah.
recall.
$10. It's okay.
Yeah. Jeffrey's using the classicum. I need $1 an hour for
Yeah.
a good
I got
game.
my $1 an hour, so it is. It
I
gets
think
up-
I know.
How
I
many
was thinking
how many
more like,
TF2s is it, Jeffrey?
No, it's more like I was thinking I played better games for less than 10, of course, but also I played worse for
yeah.
More.
I think it's hard to measure it like
Yeah.
that because
Yeah.
there's always there's
yeah.
bangers out there
Yeah,
for like
that are
a
cheap.
couple bucks.
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I think, if it'll be worth your money, especially you can. It says what it is on the tin, so if you know you like that, you're gonna like this.
Yeah.
But I guess any other final thoughts on Gladiator Guild Manager?
the options, the whether you have the priority manager selected in the battles, that doesn't get saved between sessions.
Yeah.
That was another quality of life thing. Some
Barry
of the
has many
options-
quality of life.
Yeah, because when I run into them, I mark them down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the options
UX.
aren't. The UX is a little bit jank.
Yeah.
For,
Could be a
where
little
is
bit.
it? Which is-
Good. It looks good.
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
looks good.
clean.
But
The
like,
UI looks good. The UX is not great.
yeah, the UX. I think that's where you can start to tell it's still early access.
I'm sure that we're fine at
Yeah.
that.
Hey, you can. I think there's like a send feedback button somewhere in the game. You
Oh.
can-
There is. Yeah.
Oh, we didn't mention the music, the background music
Oh, yeah.
banger, but then it gets bored. It gets you. It gets you're like
It
kind of like,
gets-
guys,
yeah.
I need another one.
Jump,
I think
jump,
maybe
jump,
the first time you're like, ooh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, and then you get to like Arena 4 and you're like, can we have a different song? Can I have a
Yeah.
different song, bro?
Good while it lasts, though.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and that could just be another one of those early access things where it's like,
Yeah, I
they,
think
they
it's
did,
definitely
yeah,
they know. Yeah.
they just wanted the one banger for now, and then they'll put in. the
It is a
extra stuff
banger. I
later.
did like it.
It is pretty good.
Like, yeah. It just, I think there's very few songs you can listen to for like
Yeah.
6 hours
5
straight.
Anything, Jeff?
Nope. I've said a lot. I've said a lot of the.
A lot.
All right. Yeah, I think I enjoyed it. It was a good game, and it is a if you want an auto battler with some nice little, I don't know, but persistent over games kind of stuff, it scratches that itch. But
Persistent over.
Oh, actually, I
Yeah.
do have,
Overworld. Okay, go ahead.
which was, I said I was
No.
the base. I had
Oh,
higher
yeah.
hope
Me too.
for the base
yeah.
management at the start, but all the buildings upgrade the exact same way, and they only do
Yeah.
one thing. They
Yep.
just make like,
XP. Yeah, it's pretty lame.
And they also don't give you that much resources to really like play with. I feel like. To
not really, yeah. So it's not really a decision again. It's just
Yeah.
you upgrade.
Most. Yeah.
Or
Or
you don't.
I was just like, oh, I want to unlock more people, so I spent all my money there. But yeah, but that can be refined. I think having
Yeah.
like special buffs for the units would actually help to specialize them and make them more unique.
I mean, yeah,
I think the core is good.
that
yeah,
was
the
one of
core
the
is-
things
core
that's
is the one
definitely
thing.
on their docket in
Yeah.
Yeah.
the expanding the buildings in the guild.
That's-
They have a good vision. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd hope. Maybe we can revisit on 1.0. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Repeat
Yeah, maybe
episode.
I'll revisit on stream.
But our famous question then: would you have finished it if you had started it?
Probably would. Yeah.
I'm a yeah.
No.
No.
It
Really?
it got really stale around the bridge. I think I would have probably made it about 60% of the way there. Then I probably would have played another game the next day, and that's the I just
That's
don't feel
fair.
like playing it anymore. You never pick it up again.
Yeah,
And it
okay.
just dwindles away.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. Yeah. I would have played it through my game. You normally be like them, but normally you would play the game that you pick. But
Yeah.
I would have played the whole thing. But I can definitely see how it starts.
I think if I played it maybe in a later development branch, like a
Yeah.
new, like with more content, it was just too simple and stale for me. So perhaps
Yeah.
if the classes were, like Kevin said before, just getting the numbers to go up is boring. If there was more interesting, like choosing skills, maybe skill trees, that's a big app.
I thought that.
Yeah, it also goes
it's a
against
big
sort of the
ask.
core philosophy of the game, which is to keep it simple.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it
Yeah,
were a little
'cause-
more involved, for me, I like games a little more involved than this, so that's
Yeah.
a big reason. why.
Although I
Even
could
just like. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I guess this might be a problem with how they structure their system, how they want you to be able to any of the enemy types you see, you should be able to
Yeah.
well most of them you should be able to pick up and put on your own
Yeah,
team.
yeah, I fully agree. I think skill trees, while interesting, would probably be bad for the overall cohesive vision. It's just it's just part of the game.
Yeah.
I will say I wish the class selection. It feels like the pool is very wide but shallow. That's sort of
definitely.
end result. You have to be okay
You
with.
say that phrase a lot, bro.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like it's the theme with all the games we've picked so far.
Well, the early access games. Specifically.
Yeah, by necessity.
I think it's the right approach though, because you want to
Yeah.
grab people's interest. So you need to show them
Yeah.
all the potential things that are coming. So you build the groundwork for like 10 systems, and then you slowly
Yeah.
drill down for each one, get them more invested.
It's also easier to find an audience because then for these games they don't have a concrete vision necessarily, so they can see what the audience latches on to, and then they can.
Because you
keep
can sell your
going from
game too
there.
and say like, oh, there's base management here, even though it's minimal.
Yeah.
But there will be more advanced base management later, right? So you'll say there's base management, there's gladiator management. I think it is.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. I guess to reveal next month's game. Terry didn't get to choose again.
Yeah.
He's never gonna get to
we'll
choose.
insert the rolling clip here. But
Maybe.
maybe. Basically rolling a D6 or a normal
dice.
die. A D6.
A dice. Fucking nerd.
Fuck you. It's a D6. And basically whoever picked last game, so in this case Mitchell, because he picked actually it's not the direction Mitchell's in. That's the direction he's in our call. But in one of these directions, I don't even know anymore. Basically since Mitchell picked Gladiator Guild Manager, he won't be in the pool anymore. And then from there we go in our roll call order from the beginning of the episode. So in this case, Kevin would be 1 and 2, I would be 3 and 4, and then Jeff would be 5 and 6. And then I roll the dice.
this with just a D3?
Yeah. And then I roll it. This time it rolled on a 5.
Yeah.
So which let Jeff pick the game. And Jeff, if you'd like to say what game you picked.
I picked a puzzle visual novel, indie puzzle visual novel called 7 Days to End. Made by a solo Japanese developer, I believe. This is their first.
Sick.
I also believe this is their first PC release. I've seen very little about. Honestly, I was thinking about why it was even on the list. I can't remember. Just saw someone play it, and I thought it was really.
They called to you. Cool. I mean, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it should be. It's pretty different from I think what the other things we played. So
It will be our
Yeah.
first visual,
it's,
unless
They
you
are.
count
Tangled
Detective
Tower.
Crime.
But that's not really a visual novel.
Yeah,
It's closer to
that's
a
fine.
point and click adventure.
but that'll be.
And if anyone puts games in the comments, we'll
Oh,
put it on a D8.
Yeah, we'll put it on the
That's
list,
what we
and then
said.
we can upgrade from a D6 to a D4.
Oh, I went to an 8. Damn.
Eight's fine.
Yeah, 4 makes
eight
sense.
eight rolls a little more satisfyingly, you know.
Yeah, or we could use a D8, or we could just go really old school and just use a D20. But,
Why?
That
'Cause
5
it's a
divided
D20.
by 5?
yeah, it rolls really well.
Okay.
well, we'll decide. But yeah, if you want to play along, that's the next game.
Yeah.
7 Days to End with You.
Yeah, if you want to play along, that'll be a nice game. By the time this podcast episode comes out, I will have already completed 7 Days to End with You on stream. And if you want to check that out, the VODs for that will be in the playlist section on our channel. And speaking of the streams, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you can get notified of when we set up streams. Right now, the schedule's a little bit in flux. So, yeah, make sure you hit the bell so you can get notified when that happens.
Smash that like button. Hit that bell.
All right,
Yeah,
stop.
one day-
You're embarrassing me.
One day I'll do the classic the
The
click.
little thing, yeah.
Yeah.
The little stinger on the bottom of the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably so easy. You probably just go online and download it.
I think Stream Elements has one. Probably use.
Sure, it's not that hard.
Okay.
But yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Stop recording. Bloop.